Hey everyone, Sari here, and welcome back to another week of Astra Season offense matches. I got to adding new face to the roster this week. Ashera is a very welcome addition to the Mythic squad. Not only does she provide a solid chunk of extra res to the units with blessings, but giving her speed defense link also turns her into an excellent spectrum buff support. The protection from panic effects is another really useful support effect, letting the team use visible buffs without worrying about getting them reversed. She's also a really solid combat unit in a pinch, and having a ranged support in Astra Season, who isn't also a dancer, helps a lot for picking off key structures. I decided to keep Felix on the roster this week, since I was expecting to run into out-of-season secret defenses. And while I didn't actually see any secrets, Felix still offered a really good answer to a few of the teams we ran into. I decided to switch him to a speed respawn seal after last Astra Season. Most of the ranged units on defenses these days are mages, and the extra speed really helps him against tricky opponents like Thrasier. Being a naturally ranged unit also lets him run distant defense 4, which is a great way to remove his opponent's visible buffs from the equation. I backed him up with Fallen Edelgard again, whose bonus week stats turn her into an absolute monster. While I never actually used her to tank anything this week, her ability to clear the field after, or before, the fight begins is extremely valuable. She'd probably have been better off keeping the attack defense solo seal this week, but it didn't exactly hold her back. The triple action threat that Fallen Edelgard brings to the table only gets more ridiculous when you add Legendary Edelgard to the roster as well. Since this was a Fire Week again, I got to run this combo with the bonus week stats on top, and while I only used this team a couple of times, their ability to dismantle 5 or 6 members of the defense before the enemy can respond is really impressive. The drawback is that it's a bit tricky to position properly, especially with the rising number of defenses that are fielding multiple ranged cavalry. I ended up switching from the Edelgard squads for the last few matches of the week, giving Dimitri another turn in the spotlight. The extra res from Ashera helps him out a lot, giving him a much better fight against several common threats, including Saros and Duma. His access to Atrocity really helps set him apart from other dodge-based tanks, giving him an incredible amount of one-shot potential while also opening up his C slot for things like Panic Smoke. So now that we've gone over the teams, let's get to the first match. This is going to be an interesting way to start the week off. They've got a pretty solid setup here, I think, with this plus 10 Nana, Thought Recovery and Blade Session and Pawn Staff, acting as sort of the glue that holds it all together. And the Odd Recovery lets them get a dance to start things off no matter what, which means that Seekard's going to run forward and dance Saros, which threatens a lot of the map. There is enough room for me to stay out of that threat range and avoid starting a map on turn 1, but the restore from Nana is actually a pretty good way to try and force it to activate on turn 2 after that. So I'm going to end up using Felix for this, and I think I've figured out a decent way to handle it. Oh, I didn't go through everybody else, sorry. I got the Mirabilis. Triple Dancer's an interesting choice, honestly. I do feel like having 3 dancers really limits your actual threats, but this Thrasier actually is also really surprisingly scary with the double pawns and Wings of Mercy, especially with their bonus week and Wings of Light from Saros. She actually ends up with a really solid offensive stat line. Okay, and there. So I think I understand how this is going to play out. By breaking this block, I should be able to force Leaf to attack instead of rallying, which throws a bit of a wrench in the rest of their turn 1 approach. So I'm going to start by just having Felix Ashera, which gives him a full spectrum of buffs.
I am the answer.
It will be done. Naga down here.
I'll do it.
Plumeria break the mirror. I'm not going to break this, just in case. I don't think I've miscalculated any of this, but
Over here?
this would stop Ceres from somehow Wings of Mercying in to attack her. And we'll just say go. Good. Okay. So from here, Nana should actually restore Thracier, since Thracier not actually getting her debuffs cleansed at the start of the turn. And then she should get danced. Oh, she did that one instead. That's okay. And then Thracier. Abusing Restore is fun. I actually forgot about the damage that Leaf would do. It works out pretty well though. So cleaning this up from here is a little tricky, and I'm actually going to use most of the team to help deal with it. Felix is going to start by breaking this, which will let Regan handle Nana very easily.
Just like Fafnir.
And then we'll plonk Regan back here. And we'll move Edelgard over one space.
Close your eyes.
Dance her.
Yes.
Smite her forward. Which gets her in range of Ceres.
Out of my way.
And she'll one-shot Ceres pretty easily. No Dragon Ball makes it a pretty easy thing to do. Then she can scooch over and one-shot this Sigurd.
Yes.
And then close out by killing the Thracier. She actually wouldn't have been able to finish Thracier off in one hit if those bombs were still active, so... And then from here it should be pretty straightforward. Leanne should just get herself knocked out here. And then we can have Felix distract Mirabilis until we pick these pots up.
I won't lose.
Out of my way.
What is your desire?
Really?
I'll do it.
If I have to.
There is but one future.
There we go. It'll probably take 2 turns to get to this, but that's okay. Alright, and we pick it up and close the match out.
I'll deliver.
Give Felix a chance to actually use this bonfire.
Do I look merry?
Alright, that's a good way to start the week. On to the next one. This is going to be a really interesting match, I think. There's a lot to puzzle out in it, mostly because of, well, these 3 ranged cows, the Sigurd with his Raven Triangle Adept. It's interesting to see this much. It must be really good against Linja. I don't use her, so I can't really say for sure, but we've also got Leaf, who's running a Hone Cavalry instead of his usual Fatal Smoke. And an Olin, who is also running a Hone Cavalry and has got a very solid kit. And also this +10 Kempf, who's very impressive as well, and is running Fortified Cavalry to complete Olin's buffs. We've also got Mirabilis with her Aerobatics and Wings of Mercy to help her catch up to things. We've got the bonus week Thracier, and a sturdy impact on Tempest Ceres. This is a tricky defense to pick apart, but I think it's actually something that can be planned out, mostly because of the visible buffs that are coming out of the Hone and Fortify. Because of them, Olwen will never actually... Well, Olwen will be able to rally, typically, unless she's baited directly on this space where Naga's sitting right now. On the other hand, if she's being baited by something she can do damage to, which isn't hard, it's considering the Blade Tome effect, Kempf can't rally her because she's already got the buffs, and Leaf also can't rally her, again, because she already has the buffs. Leaf also can't rally Sigurd because of the Hone, so the only thing that Kempf can rally is Leaf, and he'll only do that if Leaf is able to threaten something. Leaf himself can only rally Thracier, because she's the only one who can actually receive these buffs. So with all that in mind, if the only things we're baiting are Sigurd and Olwen, we should
There
actually
is but one future.
Really?
Oh, I'll do it.
be able to just bait these two out before anything else happens. Now ideally we're either going to knock out Kempf or Thracier after these two are down, but I'm not entirely sure how this is going to play out, so we'll see. Okay, Olwen goes first, as expected. Distant Defense 4 does a lot of work here, because it shuts down her Blade Tome completely. And then, well, Triangle Adept is not doing Sigurd any favors here. Okay, good. Kempf gets danced and doesn't accomplish much. Alright. So what we're going to do is start by knocking out Kempf, which will take a couple of attacks. He's a very bulky boy. But since he doesn't actually get to counterattack Felix, he doesn't apply the pain or flash effects, so Felix gets to keep all his health. And if we smite Felix over here, and then just move Naga here,
Yes.
we'll move Edelgard down a space so she stays transformed into marching, and we'll leave Reagan here. She'll be out of range even if Leaf ends up rallying on the side, which I don't think he will. Yep. Rally, rally, dance, and then everything attacks into Felix, who's actually fast enough to naturally double Thracier. Mostly thanks to his sabotage from Plumeria.
This is your name on it.
And then, well, Leaf isn't getting anything done here.
Do I look merry?
And from here, it's just a matter of picking these pots up before we close the match out. It shouldn't be too hard.
Out of my way.
I'm going to start by making sure we take down this Saros before she causes any problems.
Over here?
Okay, that's the real trap. Good to know.
It will be done.
We'll just move Naga here.
Close your eyes.
Dance Edelgard.
Yes.
Smite her.
What?
And she can finish off Saros. Leaf made it much easier. And we're not going to move too far forward, since I don't think Plumeria or Mirabilis would survive that. Instead, we're just going to move Felix up here, and we can get him to start baiting her if needed. Looks like we will need it. So, since
here?
Regan is still gravitied, we're going to just have her wait in place, dance her,
I won't lose.
and then flip Felix forward.
If I have to.
Felix can break that for us, and we can have Edelgard break the first pawn. Mirabilis will go after Felix, so
There is but one future.
and well, she's not doing anything to him. And from here, Edelgard crashes the second pot, and Felix can close out the match. He did a lot of work this time. It's good to see him doing well on offense for once instead of just defense. On to the next one. It's interesting to see this many sort of pseudo-cav lines. I haven't seen them in a while. The Selena here is actually a bit of a spooky way to try and catch people off guard. Just if you're trying to, say, bait from this right side and get Thrace here, she'll probably catch you, and that can definitely catch a red tank off guard. Overall, though, they're not threatening too much space compared to a usual cav line here. And boxing Edelgard into a corner like this really doesn't help, I think. I do like Elisa's Refine, though. It's one of those that hasn't really seen a whole lot, but I think actually does a lot of work if you can use it properly. I am going to take a few turns to set this up.
Understood.
Mostly just because there's a couple of awkward structures to work our way around, and yeah.
Yes.
Once we've dealt with that and gotten our strides online, we should be set.
There is but one future. Time to go.
I would have liked to pull this on the second turn, but unfortunately that bolt tower would have done a lot of damage to us, and I'd rather avoid that. So from here, we're going to reposition Fallen Edelgard up. And she can move up and break this.
What is
We'll
your
reposition
desire?
Plumeria, who can
Close your
dance
eyes.
Fallen Edelgard.
What?
We won't one-shot this leaf, but that's okay. Because we get a Gale Force to finish him off.
Yes.
Also going to just smite Edelgard up this way.
What?
And down he goes. Then we have one more action to deal with Selena.
Your plan.
And then, well, Edelgard gets to just move down the train here. She actually has enough res, thanks to Ashera,
Understood.
to completely avoid the Dragon Wall, which is really nice.
Time to go.
And down goes Elise. We're not worried about Mirabilis, she shouldn't be able to do any damage to either Edelgard. Which just leaves the Edelgard in the corner to deal with.
There is but one future.
It will be
And
done.
we'll flip her up this way, since we already know that's not real.
Over here? I'll do it. Yeah.
Understood.
I am going to wait a turn before we start on this Fallen Edelgard. I'd like to make sure we're buffed up before it. So from here, we're actually going to double team this Edelgard.
Understood.
Why not?
We'll break the pot and dance Edelgard,
What?
and then I'll let our fallen Edelgard take the first hit. And the second, because she can tank the bonfire without any real problems.
Perish.
What is your
We'll
desire?
reposition Reagan over here.
Over here?
What? Time to go.
And we'll let Legendary Edelgard finish the fight.
Perish.
That wasn't too bad. On we go. This one's going to be an interesting match. It's actually got a fun little trap with this 7th unit Byleth and the weaponless Azura, who is... The trap is basically the use of flyer formation to dance her on turn 1, which gives her the same threat range as a cavalry. It is a bit vulnerable to getting isolated, but if people aren't running a Fjorm or a mill out of season, I guess, it can catch people off guard pretty easily. We've also got an Edelgard in the back line, no save skills, so she's not doing too much to help protect this from a turn 1 engagement. We've got a legendary Altina and the legendary Leaf, who are also both in season this week, and a Ceres and a Mirabilis. I'm not expecting to have too many problems with this. Felix should be able to handle this with very easily, honestly. Even though he will probably take some damage from Leaf thanks to the lull. It shouldn't be enough to put him in any real danger.
I'll deliver.
Out of my way. There is but one future.
Close your eyes.
If I have to.
It will be done.
Naga can just start breaking this. I'm opening this side and not this one to try and bait Edelgard and Ceres towards this opening. And from here, Felix is safe from Lina's AoE, and while he shouldn't actually get to attack Byleth here, that's okay, because she can't get danced by Mirabilis from here. And he also doesn't take damage from her anyway.
This is your name on it.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, 9 defense on the Lina is not surviving contact with Felix. Oh, okay, so she pulled her to safety on that side. That's okay. So from here, the cleanup shouldn't be too hard.
What?
Ceres actually meets this res check, so we
Yeah.
should just be able to flip her up here. Or Edelgard meets Ceres' res check, I'm sorry.
I am the answer.
And we can smite her,
Out of my way.
and then she can just start cleaning up.
Yes.
Oh, I did forget about the debuffs from Mirabilis. That's okay. Okay. And I'm actually going to let Felix handle Byleth.
Yes.
While Edelgard goes over here and tries to knock out the other Edelgard. Oh, hey, it worked. I'll take that.
Why not?
And we'll just dance Reagan.
Really?
Felix can bonfire Byleth. And, well,
You've shown your weakness.
A weaponless dancer makes it pretty easy to pick up the pots after everything else is dealt with.
Over here?
What is your desire?
What?
There we go.
Yes.
And we can give Ceres a
Close your
knockout here.
eyes.
Or, Ceres.
There is
Ashera.
but one
I'm getting
future.
everybody mixed up. Nice clean win there. On to the next one. This one's going to be... It's interesting to see just because of some of the investment levels on these units. This Sheena, I like this a lot. I think if she had an attack defense menace to go with this Plegian Axe, she'd be really, really tricky to knock out. Potentially. But of course, just planting a unit in a corner like that is not usually going to end as well as you'd like. They've also got this plus 10 Reinhardt with who's plus speed with Lancebreaker, so probably pretty targeted at Brave Hectors here. We got this Kron with Axebreaker to, I imagine, go after Gustav's. And they've got Sita and Gaia for even more armor effectiveness. Along with Ceres as the 7th unit, and Leanne in the corner here, who's plus 7, which is fun to see. They're using quite a few visible buffs on this team, which is interesting. It makes them a little vulnerable to panic, and of course not using any Anima Blessing at all is... yeah, it's kind of asking for trouble. I'm not expecting the Edelgards to have any problems dealing with this. Since we don't have to worry about any turn 1 engagements, Ceres doesn't even have a Tempest to try and catch people off guard. It should be pretty easy to just set up for this and move in.
It will be done.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And from here we can just flip Edelgard forward.
Out of my way.
She won't be able to one-shot Kron, but that's okay. We don't need her to.
What?
And then she can finish him off. Oops. And
Yes.
then we will have her go after Sita, who can actually get a decent chunk of damage in. And then we'll move Edelgard up one space,
Close your eyes.
dance her,
Yes.
and smite her forward to test the trap, which isn't real anyway.
Understood.
She can definitely finish Ceres off.
Your
And
plan.
then she can move over to Reinhardt and do the same.
Time to
And
go.
then we finish by taking down Micaiah. And we're all the way out of range of Leanne with our dancers, so she can only go after one of the Edelgards.
Yes.
Understood.
From here it shouldn't be too hard to pick up the remaining pots and,
There is but one
well,
future.
the pots I guess in general. And then clean up the match from there.
Do it.
I am the answer. Your plan. Out of my way.
I'm just going to have to clear some stuff out of the way so we can do this cleanly.
Over here?
Understood. Yes.
Close your eyes.
Yeah, I guess that's fine.
There is but
I'll
one
just smite Edelgard in and let her finish the match.
out of my way. Yes.
Nice and clean. We'll probably get something more interesting tomorrow. This one's going to be a very interesting match. They've brought along a maxed out Fallen Edelgard in her bonus week, backed up by triple mythics. She's got some impressively high defenses here, and yeah. It's very spooky and can probably just stat check a lot of teams on her own. And they're also backing her up with this maxed out Altina, whose Quickened Pulse gives her a fairly reliable Twin Blades if she initiates on something. We've also got a Restore Trap with Veronica, and a Leanne, who's running Tactics just to make Edelgard even bulkier. They've got Mirabilis, who actually has a backup Def-Res buff for Edelgard in case Leanne's gets away. They've got a Duma, who's also using a Fortress Def-Res, and a fairly basic Zeros. This chill attack is actually a bit annoying, but it shouldn't slow Dimitri down too much here. Yeah. And there. Okay. So I'm going to take one turn to set up for this. Isolating Veronica means that I don't have to worry about the Restore Trap,
I love you.
but these Bolt Trap placements are actually really annoying for me, since I don't have a Disarm Trap to work with in this season. But you should be able to make it work.
Yes.
Yes.
Over here?
Ashera's Null Panic is actually really useful here.
What is your desire?
Going to flip Reagan up this way.
I won't lose.
She can break the Panic Manor, even though I don't need to worry about the Panic effect. Leaving the other structure alive gives us a wall to work with. Oh, that's the real trap. Good.
There is but one
Let's
future.
smite Dimitri up here. And he just breaks Veronica. It seems a bit risky to let him tank Altina at first, since, well, we're giving her Unity active, but we do get to shut the Twin Blades down thanks to Pulse Smoke from Atrocity. So Dimitri should actually be alright here.
Why not?
And we can move Plumeria up, just to give him the extra defenses.
Let's find happiness.
And then I'm going to go ahead and restore Reagan. Well, that's not ending so well. Dimitri should end this turn at full health. And since Doom is not carrying a march, well, the rest of the team is going to move pretty slowly. Well, I can say I tried to let Altina get her Unity active, but I mean, if she doesn't want to use it before her teammates go in, I can't really be responsible for that. So from here, cleaning this up isn't that hard. We can have Dimitri pick this pot up,
I'll do
and
it.
and dance him, which gives him
I'll comply.
more than enough of a stat check to beat Sarah's. And again, since there's no armor march involved, we don't have to worry about Edelgard catching us this turn. And Dimitri can enemy phase Duma without any problems.
Yeah. Careful, careful.
It will be done.
I am the answer.
I will need to make sure Dimitri's buffed before we go into Edelgard, but he shouldn't have too many problems dealing with her. Oh good, she's even being considerate and moving away from the Aether pot. So from here, we're just going to flip Reagan upwards. She can break this pot. And retreat back over here.
Close your eyes.
We'll dance Dimitri. You won't get a full set of buffs, unfortunately, but that's okay. He's not going to have too much trouble with her. Mostly because Edelgard can't actually activate Bonfire against Dimitri thanks to the Pulse Smoke from Atrocity.
Let's find happiness.
So even though she can go in on him twice, he's not too worried. And, well, when she has 11 hit points left, her entire kit goes offline, and it's very easy to finish her off. Feels very appropriate to use Dimitri to beat a Hegemon Edelgard. Let's see what we get next. This one's going to be a fun way to go into the end of the week, and, well, it's a good match to use Dimitri again, even though they are rocking a +10 bonus week Thracier on their team, with a +5 Thracier backing her up. It's very impressive. They've also got this +9 George, who I think they're just waiting for their final extra copy of him to max him out. He's actually extremely bulky thanks to these Thraciers. 55 defense is not a joke. And they've got this Winter Altina to enable their hindrance. They're also using 2 infantry pulses, just to enable most of the specials on their team. They get almost all of them together, the Moonbow and Sarah's, Bonfire for George, Moonbow for Thracier, and Twin Blades for Altina. And this Thracier gets her miracle down to a 2 charge, which usually lets her survive a counterattack, as long as she outspeeds her opponent. It's a very clever little team. It's fun to see, and yeah, I don't think I'm going to have too many problems with it. Pulse Smoke is a very good answer to infantry pulse teams, and even though we won't get to pulse this Thracier, she's not going to be too big of a problem for Dimitri.
Yeah.
Yes.
We'll take one turn
There is
just
but
to
one future.
set up. Since this Altina's not running a Tempest of any sort, it's
Close your
easy enough to set
eyes.
up here. And Dimitri can use ground orders to get onto this side.
Careful, careful.
I really shouldn't have to isolate this lane, but I'm going to anyway, just to make things a little less potentially risky. So from here, we're going to move Naga out of the way.
I won't lose.
Going to flip Dimitri up once and get Reagan back here.
I am the answer.
Can smite him, and he'll just one-shot this Altina. A lot of this is based on making sure that Altina can't just get one-shotted like that, and Dimitri's probably one of the few units who can pull that off.
Yes.
And then we just go and take down this +10 Thracier. And from here, we trap Tethys. She can't actually get anything done anymore, which is going to let us pick these pots up very easily. And Dimitri should be able to clean out this entire corner of the team.
Let's find happiness.
I expected Ceres to go first. She can actually do some damage to Dimitri, even if it's not much.
We will not lose.
And Sylvia goes in next, because neither of the ranged can attack through her.
It's our chance to prevail.
Then I think Thracier attacks in here. Yep. And she can do a chunk, but it's getting cut down pretty hard by Dimitri's damage reduction. Then George caps things off.
We will not lose.
And he actually survived an attack from Dimitri. Not the second one, but that's good to see.
Yes.
Over here? I love you.
And then we'll just wait one more turn before we finish the match.
Close your eyes.
I am the answer.
I won't lose.
Pop 1,
There is but one future.
2,
Your orders.
and down goes Tethys.
Don't let them retreat.
Nice easy clear. On to hopefully the last match. So this one's a rematch at the end of the week. It's not really the most impressive setup. There's a lot of boxed in units here, and yeah, it makes it pretty easy to trap things and just sort of go through it piece by piece. I think the most threatening part of this is just this Edelgard in her bonus week, but I'm not expecting to have too many problems with her. I'm going to take one turn to set up just to test this bolt trap, which is real, as expected.
Yeah.
I'll comply.
I am the answer.
Oh, Yeah, we'll be okay. He doesn't need the full buffs. Okay. I'm just going to heal Dimitri up.
Over here?
I'm going to break this with Reagan and use her to block this entire corner in. Nothing can actually attack Reagan from here. So
Yes.
she'll be fine.
I'll do it. Why not?
We'll debuff
Yes.
Edelgard and deal with her first.
Your orders.
And there we go.
Desire.
I'm not too worried about Bonfire. Again, like the one he handled earlier this week. She can't really do much to him thanks to the pulse smoke. So this actually got kind of awkward. I was not expecting Edelgard to land just out of range of atrocity like this, but she's still got enough health to actually survive Dimitri. So what I'm going to do instead is just let him tank her again. She is going to get a bonfire off, which should drop Dimitri pretty low. But he should be okay. Yeah. Yep.
Yes.
So here, I'm going to dance him back into position.
I'll comply.
Yes.
We'll move Ashera up here to give him buffs for next turn. And we can get Fjorm moving up to start healing him after he deals with Edelgard. And here we go. Yep. He should take 30 damage, I think, from this next hit with Bonfire.
Crumble to ash.
Oh, 33. Okay. That's alright. So from here, we actually are having a bit more trouble with this Edelgard than I expected, so I'm going to let Ashera finish her off. This will get her
Yes.
weapon fully online, and she has more than enough damage to actually just finish Edelgard off here. And then from here, we're going to heal Dimitri. Our guy has taken a bit of a beating.
Why not? Let's find happiness.
And then we'll just sit and wait one more turn, and then Dimitri can clean out the corners.
Yeah.
Yes. It's our chance to
And now he can start healing again too.
Yes.
Close your eyes.
And he can move up here
I'll comply.
and knock out this Duma very easily.
Careful, careful.
There is but one future.
Yep, and Dimitri has no problems handling these two.
It's our chance to prevail.
And we should be able to move in and clear out the corner units pretty quickly.
It's our chance to prevail.
Okay, so from here, we're actually a little short on time, so I'll let Ashera take out Sarah's as well here.
I won't lose.
We'll just have Reagan break a pot.
I am the answer.
Ashera can one-shot Sarah's. And then we can pick up the second pot and dance Dimitri to finish the match.
Your orders.
And there we go. It was a bit rougher at the end there than I would have liked, but we still pulled through. Overall, this was a fun week. It was interesting to run into some Edelgards. That last one actually caused me some trouble, but I think she'll be a lot less threatening outside of her bonus weeks. Next week, we should be getting to see some new defenses with Note involved, so that should be fun. Looking forward to seeing what people come up with. I imagine there's going to be a lot of Sigurd, though, since it's a wind week. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed the matches, good luck with your own matches, and I'll see you next time.